Welcome, everyone, to the ACL Athlete Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about everything related to the ACL, whether that's the injury itself, the rehab process, return to sport, and more. I'm your host, Dr. Ravi Patel, performance physical therapist and coach. Between myself and fellow guests and experts, you'll learn through the lens of the patient, the healthcare professional, and the coach. The goal of this podcast is to equip you, the athlete, with the education to make the best informed decision about your care and your ACL journey. Thanks for joining. Now let's dive into today's episode. What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode on the ACL Athlete Podcast. Today we are talking about a concept called the 300 mindset. And I am super excited to talk about it because we've been on this mindset theme. As you can tell, we are in the new year. If you're listening at a different time, maybe we are not. But hey, maybe this gives you a really big mindset boost as you are in this ACL rehab process and gives you some tangible stuff, right? My goal is never to just talk about all this abstract things and it's like woo-woo. It's like, no, let's make it practical on the ground. So that's what we're going to try and do today with this 300 mindset. And it's a concept that comes from baseball. It's all about a player's batting average. So it's calculated by taking the player's hit, a specific player, so the amount of hits that they have, and dividing it by their total number at bats. This is how you get a batting average. And then this also relates to the 300 batting average. So that's where you are thinking about, all right, cool. If I've had 100 at bats, I have hit the ball 30% of the time. That's 300 batting average. Is considered actually highly successful despite it meaning the player fails 70% of the time. You can get this by hitting 3 out of 10 hits, right? But it takes more reps to truly get that 300 or the 30% successful number. It could be 150 out of 500. It could be 300 out of 1,000. To give you guys reference, the highest batting average in baseball history, Ty Cobb. So he is known for this. And guess what that highest batting average was? 366. Now let's talk about how many at bats. 11,429. That means he hit 4,185 balls out of 11,429. So he's technically hit 36.6% of the balls he was pitched to. And it's the best that has ever played the game. It wasn't 400, it wasn't 500, which would equate to 40 or 50% of hits. It was literally sub 40% or 400. And now some of you are like, cool, that's baseball, but how does this apply to me as an ACLer? Or maybe you're a clinician or a coach listening. Let's go mindset focused first. Celebrating the wins, especially the small ones, when you get that hit or hit that milestone in your process, that creates consistency and a compounding effect. Resilience, knowing failure is a part of growth and getting better and being able to learn from those setbacks. Consistency over perfection, huge, y'all. I'm a sucker for perfection, so I totally get this. Being consistent and knowing that to be amazing or successful, you don't have to be perfect. And this is so key. I think that people think you need perfection in order to be successful or amazing. And in baseball, if you want to equate whatever amazing or successful is, it's 300. It's not 80%. It's not 100%. It's 330%. Confidence. Approaching these challenges by believing in yourself and staying focused even when a setback might happen. And then playing the long game. Knowing that this success doesn't just come from a few reps. It's through repeated effort and persistence. Now, I want to build on this last point. Baseball athletes understand that they need as many bats as possible to achieve this 300. For you, it's about getting in the reps. knowing that you might not move the needle with just 10 reps, or honestly, even with 500. You think about this ACL rehab process. It's long. You got a lot of stuff to work on, and we need reps. And whether that's you working on extension or flexion for weeks and months, working on getting your quad strength back, working to get that pop back in your jump, easing up that donor side that's giving you some issues, or maybe you're the clinician or coach that's wanting to really improve your craft and work with ACLers. It's about putting in the reps, whether that's exposure, program design, communication, exercise prescription, so many different areas for you to dive into, but that's where we're working on putting in the reps and improving our craft. The more reps you put in, the better your chances are of succeeding in these areas. And especially for my ACLers who have been in this for a minute and don't see light at the end of the tunnel, I know it's a grind. Trust me. I've been there twice myself, but keep getting the reps. It gives you a better chance of getting back to the thing, whether that's you being back on the field playing soccer, football, maybe it's on the court playing basketball, running that first 5K, getting on the mats in BJJ, or getting back on your skis, right? We want to keep getting the reps. And it might take thousands and thousands and thousands of reps. When we think about people who are so skilled at their craft, at what they do, whether it's artists or people who are performing, whatever it might be, they are putting in reps. And just like ACL Rehab, we have to put in reps. We have to put in quality reps. And there are days where you might only put in a few reps because you're just kind of in this place where you don't have it. And that's okay. But as we talked about in previous episode of never letting that momentum hit zero, keeping something in motion is easier to stay in motion versus completely stopping. And here, that's where getting in the reps really matter. And that's where this 300 concept comes in, because you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have this all or nothing. If I'm not perfect, I got to restart, or I'll start the next month or the next week. In reality, it's just accumulating these reps and really aiming for how can we have a pretty solid batting average or go for that 300. But the thing is, it wasn't just 3 out of 10, because if you do 10 hits, your chances of getting 3 aren't very high. In reality, the more and more and more reps we get, the higher our batting average can get, or really being able to be quote unquote successful in this process. And that's what we're trying to focus on. Not perfection, but getting in the reps, aiming for 300, because even in baseball, 30%, 300 batting average is elite. And so we're trying to aim for that as we move in this process. So you can kind of dump all the stuff of perfect reps and every single thing needs to be aligned and linear, when in reality, it's messy. Let's embrace the messiness of it and keep getting the reps. Hope that this is helpful, guys, as we kickstart the new year, or wherever you are listening to this and the timing. Put this in play, really allow us to move the needle and continue to take it 1% at a time. Until next time, this is your host, Ravi Patel, signing off.